The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. This is Derek Snyder from the National Weather Service in Paducah, and we'll be doing a webinar here about the severe weather threat that we're facing mainly tonight into into tomorrow morning, and then again Wednesday afternoon through Wednesday night. So we got a very busy couple of days ahead of weather. So thank you for joining us. And we'll go ahead and get started. So the main key messages here is that you can see here on our severe weather outlook, most of the region has been upgraded from the Storm Prediction Center to a moderate risk of severe weather. So that pretty much encompasses our entire forecast area, with the exception of a couple slivers in Carter and Ripley County in southeast Missouri, and then our far southeast in the Hopkinsville, Fort Campbell, Todd County areas. The rest of the region is for under the moderate risk, and the Storm Prediction Center told us they upgraded us to a moderate risk on the basis of the potential for severe wind gusts, widespread high-end wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour or greater. That was their reasoning for the upgrade to the moderate risk. And then the other areas here are in the enhanced risk. So with this event, we're expecting 2 rounds of storms. One round will occur late tonight into early Wednesday morning. This will be marginally severe. I'll talk about it more in a minute. The main threat will be maybe some large hail. That should be fairly isolated. A greater threat will be the risk for flash flooding. And I'll talk a little bit more about the details with that here in a minute as well. And then we're going to see a little bit of a break in the mid-morning through possibly into the early afternoon before another line of storms comes racing through the area tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. This is where we're really expecting the high-end severe weather potential with widespread damaging wind gusts, tornadoes. We can't rule out possibly a strong tornado or a long-track tornado, large hail, and then additional risks for flash flooding. So I'll go ahead and get into the details here with the risk for severe weather. So in case you're not aware, moderate risk means widespread severe storms are likely. These can be long-lived and intense. And then obviously you need to have multiple ways to get warnings and seek shelter when those warnings are issued for your location. So kind of looking at the first thing with the risk, the key messages for tonight, most of the area basically to the west of the Wabash Valley and west of the lakes area in west Kentucky is under a marginal risk of severe weather, with a little bit of Carter and Ripley counties in southeast Missouri under a slight risk. This is mainly for storms that are going to develop late tonight, probably after midnight from the south and move to the north. These will mainly be possible producing some marginally severe hail. The other risk that we're really worried about is the risk for heavy rain and flash flooding. I'll talk about that more here in a second, especially over western Kentucky, where there was 2 to 5 inches of rain that fell last night. So the soil is very soggy and saturated, and we'll need to keep a close eye on the potential for some flooding early tomorrow morning. So with that in mind, we have here's our rainfall forecast through tomorrow evening. This is mainly going to fall from the morning hours through tomorrow evening, so you can see another broad brush of an inch and a half everywhere. And then over West Kentucky into southeast Illinois and southwest Indiana, you have pockets of 2 to 3 inches, and I wouldn't be surprised to see locally higher amounts there too. So we have issued a flood watch that goes into effect tomorrow morning that will run through tomorrow evening, mainly for the Boot Heel Delta region of southeast Missouri, and then far extreme southern Illinois, and then the Purchase and southern Pennyrile of western Kentucky. Basically, those areas that got hit pretty hard last night. We have a flood watch in effect for them through tomorrow evening. And then from the afternoon to the evening hours, we're going to have our severe weather outbreak. Unfortunately, we are expecting all hazards and modes of severe weather, like I mentioned. So we could see several tornadoes. This could come in two different ways. But we're going to have a main line of storms that come through the area in the afternoon into the evening, racing from west to east. We're going to be watching closely for the potential for discrete supercells to develop ahead of that line. If that does, we could see a strong or long track tornado with any supercells that do develop ahead of this line. If that doesn't happen, the main tornado threat will be with the main line, and those will be more of the brief spin-up tornadoes, but the environment will be quite volatile, so there could definitely be some strong tornadoes within the line as well, but they might not be quite as long-tracked. Large hail will definitely be a concern. Scattered hail of 1 to 2 inches in diameter, especially if any discrete supercells form ahead of the line, there'll be a large hail threat with that. And then the main reason for the upgrade to the moderate risk, damaging winds, widespread gusts, 60 up to 80 miles an hour, possibly high-end gusts. There could be lots of tree damage, power lines knocked down, that sort of thing. Pretty much the entire region could see this as this main line races through. So definitely a higher-end severe weather risk, particularly for damaging winds. But we're also watching that tornado and large hail threat as well. So here's a rough timing graphic for this main line of storms. So we kind of have it getting into southeast Missouri in our counties, Carter and Ripley, between 1 and 4 o'clock, and then pushing towards Poplar Bluff and Cape Girardeau. The line will continue to move to the east, reaching Mississippi River somewhere around 3 or 4 o'clock. And then southeast or southern Illinois, far western Kentucky, the Delta region of southeast Missouri, between roughly 3 and 6 o'clock. And then as it continues to race to the east, reaching the Evansville, Owensboro, down to the Hopkinsville area, that'll be between roughly 5 and 8 o'clock. This is subject to change a little bit. Our confidence isn't quite as high as we are with some of the other risks. This could be, move forward a couple hours. It could get pushed back a couple hours. But this is generally what our best thinking is right now, and that could change a little bit depending on how things go with the evolution of the storms tomorrow morning. So this is subject to change, so just keep an eye out for some adjustments. But generally from the afternoon hours in southeast Missouri to the mid to late afternoon for west Kentucky, southern Illinois, and then late afternoon into the evening hours for southwest Indiana and the Kentucky Peninsula. So here's kind of a summary of our confidence. Like I said, our confidence is not quite as high in the timing. That's like medium to high. So that's still subject to change a couple hours depending on how things evolve. So that's why our confidence in that isn't higher yet. Our confidence in location, pretty much everywhere across the area is going to see some sort of impact, we think, either from large hail, the flooding, or the straight line winds, and hopefully not a tornado or something like that. But we have to keep that in mind too. And then same way with the impacts, there could be impacts in some way, shape, or form, pretty much across the area. So. Like I mentioned, we're concerned about the potential for discrete supercells to develop ahead of the main line of storms in the afternoon. If these do occur, the threat of strong or long-track tornadoes will increase because the environment ahead of the main line of storms will be very supportive of rotating storms that could produce tornadoes. And if those storms do not develop, the severe threat will be confined with that main line of storms as it goes through the region as they're embedded within that squall line. And we can get several tornadoes in those scenarios as well, but they tend to be more brief and maybe not quite as strong, but they can still do quite a bit of damage. So one event kind of looking at events that sort of looked similar to this, just in terms of impacts and the setup. One recent one that you may remember was on April 3rd, 2018. We had a large moderate risk over our area as well, like this. And we had several tornadoes in our forecast area, most of which were EF0 to EF1, but we did have 2 EF2 tornadoes in southern Illinois. So, and we did have several large hail reports in southeast Missouri as well. So that's kind of it's not a perfect one-to-one comparison, but it's something that stood out in my mind with the setup and what we're looking at. So to kind of give you an idea of maybe the sort of things that we're expecting or similar reports and to keep in the back of your mind, this is kind of something that stood out to us forecasters. So with that, and listen,